right, guys, this video is going to walk you through how to complete this density knowledge check. Many of you have already gone ahead and worked on this a little bit this morning, and looking back over some of the results, I was noticing that there was a lot of misconceptions in terms of what you need to do. Okay, so I want to model for you here. We're going to do this first one together. So in order to access this simulation here, you would need to simply click on this link that's in the GoFormative. Okay. I also included a diagram here that when it comes to trying to find the volume, if you are struggling trying to get the correct number, because if your volume is not correct, your density will not be correct either. Okay, so those of you that are getting a lot of them wrong, please know that it could be your mass, it could be your density. Okay. You are not necessarily having to put the units in there. I'm not going to require that of you, but if you include it, I will go back in and change it. But know that my answers do not have units because I figured a lot of people weren't going to include them. And then the way I set it up, I thought it would give you guys the credit as long as you had the numbers. So we're going to start with wood. So you're going to need to find your wood item. And question 1 is asking me to come up with the mass of the wood. So the way I'm going to come up with the mass of the wood, I'm going to take my wood block and I'm going to put it on the scale here. And it tells me on the scale that my mass is 13.30. So my response here would be 13.30. Again, you can include grams. You do not have to. Okay, but the mass is 13.30, 13.3. Okay. Number 2 is asking me to find the volume of the wood. And if I were to read through these directions here, it tells me in order to find the volume, I have to take the object, put it above the tank here, and drop it. It's going to put drops of water out. So whatever drops of water comes out of the cylinder is equal to the volume of the object you dropped in. This is basic water displacement. So in order to find the volume, I have to count on this graduated cylinder. So I've got 14, which is this dark line here, 15. So I know it's at least 15 milliliters. And if I count 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 16. I know each line represents 1. So if I count from 15, I've got 15.1, 0.2, 0.3, 4, 5, 6. So my volume here is going to be 15.6. Again, you can use your units, but it's not necessary. Okay, after you found this out. Next, what you need to do is you need to find the density, and hopefully you have a calculator. Now that I'm doing this, I'm going to go back into our formative and embed a calculator for you so you can do this. So your density, you're going to solve it by doing, and you can refer to the image down here, to find density, you do mass divided by volume. We went over this in class yesterday. So looking at the mass, which I have is 13.30, and the volume, which is 15.6. Let me go ahead and get a calculator up here for you. Oops. Oh. You can use the calculator on your computer. Like I said, I'm going to embed one. I just wasn't thinking and forgot. So 13.30. And then I'm going to divide it by 15.6. I'm going to hit equal. So my density here, rounded to the nearest hundredth, that's going to be these two digits. 2 comes next, so it's going to say 0.85. Okay, that's how I got my density here. Again, you can use units. I'm not requiring it at this point. Okay, just because it's a lot easier for you just to type in the numbers. For question 4, it is asking if you believe the wood will float or sink. And if you saw the video that I included in the OLS for today, they did an experiment where you were looking at different soda cans and the densities of those soda cans. We talked in class yesterday that the density of water, pure water, is 1.0. So in this instance, we're going to assume that this is pure water in here, so its density is 1. If the density of this liquid in here is 1, and the density of the wood is 0.85, I have to think, okay, which is going to be less? If the wood has less density than the water, it will float. If it has more, it will sink. So I look at my density here and I see that 0.85 is the density of the wood. That number is less than the number 1. So that tells me that the wood is going to float. So I'm going to mark off float. Then to check my answer for number 4, I'm going to put my answer from 4 over here. So I'm going to say float. And then I'm going to click watch what happened. It removes the cover and it shows me, yes, in fact, the wood is floating. That's number 4. And then I'm going to keep doing this same process until I finish all of these items. If I continue to scroll down on my formative, I have 3 problems here to practice finding density, mass, and volume. These were 3 skills you did in IXL yesterday. Use this diagram up here to help you remember what operations you need to do. Okay? So if I'm trying to find the mass, here, I need to multiply density times volume. If I'm trying to find the density, I need to do mass divided by volume. If I'm trying to find the volume, I need to do mass divided by density. Okay, this diagram is meant to help you remember the formula, especially for those of you that are not huge fans of algebra. Trying to figure out what to do with the formula when you're missing a variable could be confusing. So this diagram should be able to help you. I hope this video helps with understanding how to complete this activity. I will make sure it's embedded in your formative, and then I'll also put it on the OLS for you. Please feel free to text or email me with any questions. Make sure you study for your quiz tomorrow, and I will see you later.